Governor Youngkin spoke a little bit about that earlier today, and he hit on some other topics when he was talked to by reporters here just this morning. We're going to play a little bit about that press conference here in a few moments as he is answering not only that, but again, the day after Virginia made history in its election.
Sir, Dave.
You're going to finish strong. There are a couple of very big things hanging. Medicaid forecast, intentional and the Safe Kids initiative. What are we going to see in the next couple of months?
Well, of course, I've got one last budget to prepare. And I have said recently that people who believe that Medicaid spending is going to go down have been misinforming everyone. Medicaid spending is going to go up. And that is a commitment in order to support Medicaid recipients. How much it goes up, we're still working on. You may have seen in the recent report that I believe that the overall rebenchmarking is inappropriately affected by the poor performance, operating performance of one of the managed care organizations, which has skewed the overall Medicaid reforecasting. We're going back and assessing that to make sure that we're not allowing one poor performer to drive up costs unnecessarily across the whole system. Second of all, there is a fair amount of waste and abuse that I'm really worried about and fraud. And so we're digging into that so that we can come back with what will be $1 billion plus a year, I believe, in incremental Medicaid support, but I want to make sure it's the right number. I've said over and over again that Medicaid is not going to be reduced. It's going to be increased in Virginia, and the big question right now is what's the appropriate amount. That's what we're working through. Yeah, again, with Safe Kids and K through 12 education, these are our big areas of making sure we get it right. Again, the Commonwealth has seen a surplus already through the first 4 months. I can't opine yet on October's results, but we've seen our first a continued surplus. That has allowed us to take on the parallel SNAP benefit program, which is literally mimicking the SNAP benefits that are not being paid to Virginians today. But it also allows us to be in a position to take on some of these responsibilities. But the key to everything is to make sure that we are doing the right work to assess the right amount of incremental spending for Medicaid, the right amount of incremental spending for K through 12, because there will be incremental spending, and the right amount for Safe Kids. And for SNAP. Well, for SNAP, what we're going to see in SNAP are two things. One, and I encourage everybody, call senators and tell them to open up the government. I've said this over and over again. Vote yes on a clean CR and get the government open. And so the supplemental SNAP benefits that we are paralleling, of course, will end. But bringing down the SNAP incremental costs by reducing our error rates is a top priority. There's no reason why Virginia should have an 11% error rate in administering SNAP. And so we have had a massive transformation effort underway. I issued an executive order to do exactly that. I believe we will bring down the SNAP error rate and therefore not have to effectively pay the penalty that comes with having a high error rate. The degree to which we can bring it down is what we're working on now. Of course, the goal is no errors, but we were running at an 11% error rate, so we've got real work to do. But there's real opportunity for improvement. Emily, hang on, come right back. Yes, sir.
Given the fact that the lieutenant governor lost by 15 points, Republicans are on track to lose more than a dozen House seats, is it possible that Virginians don't see your administration in the same way that you do?
Well, I believe that Virginians thoroughly support what we've been doing. I mean, at the end of the day, when people say, is the state heading in the right direction, people say yes. So bottom line is more jobs, safer communities, excellence in education, making sure that we are taking care of your money because it is your money. We've run $10 billion of surpluses and we've had $9 billion of tax relief. As I said, I firmly believe that particularly the government shutdown was a very, very big challenge as we ran into this election. We have 330,000 government workers here that weren't getting paid. That is a real challenge heading into an election. And therefore, I, again, encourage the Senate to please open the government, because Virginians are hurting. And it's time for the government to get back open, and then for you all to do your work. Thanks. Yes, sir. Oh, my goodness. Well, I've said since the day I was elected that people have been always asking me about my future political ambitions, and now I'm 4 years in, and you're still asking me the same question. And I will repeat to you the exact same answer I've given. My focus has been, will be, and will continue to be on the Commonwealth of Virginia up until the last second I'm in this position. And we have been focused for a reason, that we have felt and I think demonstrated that common sense solutions work. When you create a business-friendly environment, reducing regulations, and strategically recruiting businesses, you can drive economic growth to a level it's never been seen before. And as I said earlier, the $143 billion of commitments from companies to grow here is more than the last 5 administrations combined. We have seen a fundamental shift in Virginia's economic growth from government to the private sector. And it's been not just headquarters, it's manufacturing and logistics and R&D all over the Commonwealth. And it has stretched from Virginia Beach to Lee County and from Danville to Loudoun. That is huge. And the future of the Commonwealth will continue to be to make sure that we have the most business-friendly environment in order to attract jobs. I'll remind everybody, 70% of our budget every year is driven by individual taxes. And therefore, to have a strong revenue base, you have to have a lot of Virginians working. And therefore, when we have a lot of Virginians working, we run surplus after surplus. That requires jobs. And if I have one great piece of advice for anyone who is serving in governor, whether it's Governor-elect Spanberger or 10 governors from now, it's we must continue to drive economic prosperity through job creation. And that is at the heart of everything. It's the heart of everything. We have a Virginia where people get to choose what businesses come, which ones don't, whether people want to live here or they don't. And those are really clear measures. And when we're able to attract a lot of business because we are a right-to-work state, we have extraordinary talent, we've invested in making sites ready, and on top of that, we are able to once again work from administration to administration and maintain that foundational principle of being business-friendly, Virginians thrive. And that's the heart to everything. That allows us then to have record investments in K through 12 education like we've done, where we have literally increased per pupil spending since before the administration today by 50%. It allows us to have record investment in law enforcement, record investment in taking care of God's gifts to the Commonwealth, and also $9 billion of tax relief. This is a really, really straightforward, common sense formula that works. And I, again, feel strongly that this is a template for moving forward, whoever the governor is, in order to make sure that Virginia continues to have this vibrant opportunity system that provides jobs, jobs, and more jobs. Perfect.
Time for one more.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So AJ-elect Jay Jones, he overperformed expectations last night. Do you see that as the people voting for him endorsing or at least showing a tolerance for the kind of content in the text messages he sent 3 years ago?
Yeah, I have to say I am incredibly concerned about the Attorney General-elect's ability to do the job based on the text that he sent. They were abhorrent, and I think that they once again reiterate that you can't come into this job if you are espousing death on a political enemy, the death of children, and the death of law enforcement. I believe, just as I've always believed, that disqualifies him for the job. The next administration is going to have to figure out how to deal with that, because they have law enforcement that they're going to need to make sure feel good about doing the job. They're going to have to make sure that parents with children feel safe, and that's going to be a challenge going forward. My position has not changed, that there is absolutely no excuse for what he wrote, none. And we live in a society today that I think has lost its way, at least some folks have, on their willingness to almost accept violence and political violence as a solution. So we had, during this campaign season, candidates and sitting elected officials receive death threats. And I have no patience for this. We investigate them thoroughly, and we make arrests, and we prosecute, because there is no room for anybody to espouse or try to minimize the fact that violence in any kind like this, and political violence against candidates or elected leaders, is an anathema, and we have to fight it with everything we have.